I heard the door slam in the middle of the night, footsteps coming up the stairs, and my heart is pounding. And he takes a gun and shoots me in the head. I went back to sleep. I was awoken by a really bright light and a beautiful lady who came, and she handed me rosary beads, and a prayer book. She said, "You will need these."
This is Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. Those moments when heaven and earth collide and we see God. We see His hand reaching out to us, attempting to get our attention, inviting us into a closer relationship. Here we share stories of encounter with angels, divine intervention, prophetic dreams, visions, near-death experiences, big and little God incidents. I'm your host, Trapper Jack. Welcome. This is episode 136, Wearing the Armor of Light. What to wear today? Maybe something that clangs. The armor? No, this is the armor of light. Romans 13:12, St. Paul talking about let's cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. This is that good guy versus bad guy stuff. We've often talked about Ephesians 6:12. This is that we're not wrestling with flesh and blood. What we're wrestling against, of course, are the powers and principalities that rule from the air, those forces of darkness. We don't often get into things like ghosts. That pops up in this episode. It's a reality. We don't often get into the new agey stuff of past life, regressions and things. So here's Caitriona just going down that slippery slope. She doesn't know where to look for the armor of light. Grew up Catholic, but just kind of faded away from it. Meanwhile, Jesus is trying to get her attention. It doesn't click. Mary's trying to get her attention to turn around. It doesn't click. It takes a little while in this. And then finally, and you'll see that great turning moment or moments in Caitriona's life. The other thing that's interesting about this conversation is that we're talking and one thing leads to another and dreams she's had more recently about the hierarchy of the church, which gets kind of interesting. And then we kind of start talking about the election that just happened and what's going on now. And well, that's kind of interesting because that leads to an experience I had not too long ago. And so this is just kind of hits a lot of different points along the way here as we talk about putting on that armor of light from Germany. Caitriona. Yeah, and obviously that's not a German accent. You're originally from where or what's your ancestry?
Ireland.
Ireland, don't you know? Were you born there?
I was born in Ireland, and I moved to Germany in 2006.
Because
I got married to a German. We both play music. So I played traditional Irish music, and he played kind of traditional Bavarian music. But we met in northern Spain at a music festival. So then in July 2016, my husband is away working all the time. And one day as I was going up the stairs, up into the attic, now there's a small rectangular window, and outside there's a huge apple tree. And the light behind the apple tree was shining through the window. And I have a picture of Our Lady that my mother had brought back to me from Medjugorje hanging on the wall. And then beside Our Lady appeared a framed square picture, same size as Our Lady, of Jesus. And I was there, whoa. And I was looking at it like in amazement, but it kind of didn't dawn on me. And then I'm looking at the window at the apple tree, and I was there like, how could that make a reflection of Jesus from the apple tree and the leaves? That is, wow.
Wait a minute, so the light, the sunlight is coming, it's shining through the tree and creating a shadow, if you will, on the wall, but it's a framed picture of Jesus. And no question, it looks like Jesus.
Absolutely, no question. I got to take a picture of this, but as soon as I came back up, it was gone. And I checked the next day, at the same time, nothing.
I mean, and at this point, did your faith matter to you much at this point that you're getting this? You had enough faith to put Mary on the wall there, but,
No.
Okay, all right.
So then I went to Ireland on holidays. We had taken the kids to the beach one day, and my husband was taking pictures, and I wanted pictures to send to my family, of the kids on the beach, but I hadn't had my phone with me, so I went to his phone to look for some pictures that I could send. But there I found pictures of him and another woman. So that kind of broke my heart in a way. I confronted him about it, and he admitted to it. But to this day, there's still no remorse for cheating.
So you're seeing pictures of him with somebody else as you're looking
Yeah,
for these other pictures. Devastating,
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
devastating.
yeah.
So what do you do
So
with
that,
that?
and well, he never apologized and actually blamed me that it was my fault that he was with other women. I was kind of going, well, I'm at home with the kids alone. How could it be my fault?
And how many
So
kids? How many kids?
5. The oldest is 11, and then I have twins, and they'll be 6 on the 6th of December on Nicholas.
Well, you
Yeah.
you got a house full in a very short period of time.
Yeah. Then after that, I ended the holiday, and I flew with the kids back to Germany. Things were a little bit tough then after that, but he was gone a lot working anyway, so it was kind of easier to deal with it in the fact that we weren't there day to day looking at each other, I suppose. So I had a bit of time to think. But then in November, on the 11th, it was actually the same day my nephew was born. In the middle of the night, I had this dream where my father came to me, and I went to hug him, but he put his hands through my chest. And 2 days later, I had pneumonia. So that was kind of weird. And then lots of stuff started happening in the house. There was knocks, there was things falling down, curtains, lampshades. My friend was here, and I was telling her that I wasn't feeling so well. And just as she was sitting here chatting, and after about an hour, a belt that was sitting on a bench fell off it. Something fell in the bathroom, but there was nothing to fall. She heard these noises as well, and I was there, yeah, it's... So there was activity started to pick up in the house. In my sitting room, the lights were flickering, You could nearly, and then I started saying, "Is that you, Dad?" And then
Something was
really weird.
happening in the house, and you've got some odd dreams going on. You got the pneumonia.
Yeah.
What other crazy stuff is going on in the house?
There before me appears who I think now was Martin Luther King, yeah? And standing beside the window, looking like very solemn, 2 policemen. And he's talking away, very happy and excited. I cannot hear a thing what he is saying. I am just frozen. What is that now? Dead people are coming to visit me.
So you had a string of these seemingly disconnected moments.
Dead people and laptops coming on, electrical problems as well. And as they're like,
Okay, and you're still with your husband, yes?
yeah.
Okay.
He rings me from Australia, and he tells me, got something to tell you. He was back with an old girlfriend who lived in America. He was then with that other lady. So then more weird stuff started to happen towards the end of February. I, of course, decided to contact a medium. He kind of suggested, okay, you might be a natural medium yourself, if people are coming to you from the dead and telling you things. And I was there. Then on May 8th, I heard the door slam in the middle of the night, footsteps coming up the stairs, and my heart is pounding. I look up to see what it is on the stairway, and there's my father and my grandmother. It was like 2 heads in the one body, and it was kind of morphing, changing. And he takes a gun and shoots me in the head. So that was 3:00 in the morning. I went back to sleep, and at 5:00 in the morning, I was awoken by a really bright light and a beautiful lady who came through the roof. It was the first time I was able to communicate, okay? As in, I spoke and they spoke back. And she handed me rosary beads, and a prayer book. She said, "You will need these." And then I said, "Why? Am I going to die?" And then she thought for a second and she said, "No." And then she went back up through the roof.
What was it? It was rosary and what? What kind of a prayer book?
Rosary and like a prayer book. It did not click that it might be Our Lady. Beautiful, bright light, white light, translucent, and she was so beautiful. And she had like stars in her hair. So she didn't appear with a crown, but there were stars in her hair.
Do you remember maybe the color of her dress or anything like that?
No, it was all white.
All white. All white. Okay. And you'll need these. I like that. You'll need this. Yep. Okay.
Still,
But it's not dawning on you that that's Mary. It's not dawning on you.
No,
Okay.
Absolutely not. I just the next day then I was in contact with another medium.
You initially went to see a medium because of all these other things going on in the house, yes?
Yeah, to figure out why are dead people coming to visit me.
Okay.
What's going on? Do you think I'd think of picking up the Bible and reading it? I would have found all the answers in there, but didn't dawn on me. They kept telling me, Janie, you must be a natural medium. You can take a course and you take it. So I did, because I was able to see a lot of stuff. I had already been given the tools to manage this, but it wasn't clicking. It wasn't getting into my head somehow. Then, as I said, at Halloween, I was sitting when all the kids were in bed, and I was watching. I says, "Oh, I should learn how to meditate." So then this video, past life regression, where they go through hypnosis session, bring you back through your past life, and then it's basically speaking to the subconscious, and the subconscious can do healing. Right? I said, this sounds very interesting. I says, I think I'll sign up for that course. So I did. I says, how can I do this in other people if I don't know what it feels like to experience it yourself? So I went and I got a session done by somebody, and it was awful. It was like when they put me under hypnosis, it was like I was going through a black tunnel, and there was flickerings in and out of back in the Egyptian times, and then I'm in basically being buried in a sandbox, buried alive. Sand is filling up, and I'm basically dying by being smothered by sand, trapped in a box. And I was there, how could anybody like this? The way I see it is, it's dial a demon network. It's demons on the other side. It's their lives. You don't have any past lives because you only die once. You know.
The battle is always over the mind, isn't it? It's always over the mind.
Yeah. I said, this is crazy. I was there. Whoa, I gotta stop this. This is not good, Then I started seeing UFOs. I actually have a video of an orb, as it's called, spinning.
What was the situation? Because that's also demon connected, aliens and all that, as you probably have found out.
Yeah. I just went out to my garden and I knew to look up, and there I saw this orb spinning. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, stop for 1 second. I knew to go outside and look up. I've heard this from somebody else too, where suddenly you just know because it's them. Yeah.
Now, I wasn't the only one who saw it, because I went on to the UFO network and other people had seen it too. It was the one of two that I'd seen in Ireland, but I had seen one in Germany hovering over a nuclear power plant, a bigger one. But anyway, then I had a dream as well of I was taken up into a spaceship, and I can see the planet Earth exploding, and they basically saved me. Now, this is a thing as well. A lot of people will believe aliens are going to save the world. Have you heard that theory before?
Oh yeah, they're going to, because they seeded this world. They're going to come back, and they're going to come and revisit their kids, basically. Yeah, save us. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's a setup. Don't be surprised if down the road. Don't be surprised. Suddenly they show up and they're the heroes. They've come back, right?
Yeah, but there only is one savior.
Amen, sister. Amen to that.
Yeah. So I start telling my family, and I say, "Look at this!" Look, they then start to get a bit worried, So my mom had heard about a healer who used to be He used to be a priest, but then he gave up the priesthood to get married, but he had studied to be an exorcist. I went to him, told him some of the stuff that was going on. He said exorcism prayers over me and over my kids and so on. And the lady that was there, like his assistant, taking bookings and stuff like that, she had given my daughter holy water, rosary beads, and also a bracelet from Medjugorje. So I'm driving with a trailer tent behind, a dog and 5 kids in the car through England. At some point outside London, something told me to say a decade of the rosary, right? So I says, right, kids, we're going to say the rosary. And this is the first time I've said it now since Our Lady came to me on May 8th in 2018. But something told me to say a decade of the rosary. So I prayed the rosary. And then all of a sudden, this car flips and spins over this. I'm driving through smoke. I was there, oh no. And then suddenly my car moves over to the right lane and a wheel comes flying in the lane. So if I had stayed in that lane, a wheel would have hit my car. I didn't even look behind. My car just moved. Like, whoa, that's weird. How did that happen?
You didn't steer it that way. It just moved over.
I would not. I would have looked behind to see if there's anything, but there would be no time. I was thanking God then. Thank God I said that rosary before we got to that point. So then when I got back to Germany, he had the kids for 2 weeks. And I says, well, what will I do now for this 2 weeks? This is my first holiday alone in like 9 years. What will I do? And I was thinking, I'll go to Medjugorje.
Why? What finally said that's the place you need to be?
Well, what else am I going to do for 2 weeks? It's not like I'm going to go off on a sun holiday.
No, but I mean, there's a lot of places you can go in the world. So why there was it? Are you going back to that moment in the hallway? Are you what is it?
No, well, of course, my daughter had got the beads, with Medjugorje on it, and she wasn't wearing it. So I says, well, how far is Medjugorje from here? And I was calculating, 10 hours, The year before that, I had like $500. And I remember, okay, I got to hide that so I don't spend that, or convert it into euros. I'll just keep those dollars. So I remember putting them into a book somewhere. So the day before I was supposed to go to Medjugorje, my daughter came in. She's like, Mama, I found $500. I said, where did you find that? I've been looking for that, I've been looking for that for 6 months before we left. She said, it was there in a book in Puss in Boots,
In Puss in Boots?
Yeah.
So did you have to wrestle the money out of your daughter?
I said, that's mine, give it back.
Yeah.
Beautiful drive down. And then I get to Medjugorje. I went to confession, I think maybe 3 or 4 times. Yeah, I got the lecture from priest, you should never dabble. So I realized, whoa, what I've been doing, all this medium stuff, and that's all wrong, And I had got the Bible, and I had started to read that. I'd never read the Bible in my life. When you go to Mass, you listen to part of the Gospel. But I'd never sat down to read the Bible. So for me, that was a first.
And if we could go back to the confession, how long were you there, and why did you go to confession 2 or 3 times during that time?
Yeah, because I was kept searching my mind for. I want to get rid of all my sins while I'm there,
Mm-hmm.
So I would remember some more, and then I'd go again. I'd remember some more. I just, I want to have all the sins off my soul before I leave here. Then I went to the risen Christ statue. The risen Christ statue is the one that has the tears that come from the leg. Do you know that?
No, tell me that story.
It's a huge, I don't know what is it made from, copper or some metal, but from the leg, there seeps tears. Now, I think people have seen oil, and other people have seen blood as well that come from the leg. The tears coming, and I don't have any handkerchief to wipe it, so I'm literally taking the drops and blessing myself there was 6 in total, and I blessed myself for each of my children. Look it up. It's not every day, but a lot of people have witnessed it,
Right. Okay.
So then I kind of had a breakdown after I had seen that, and I'll go out, and I was there. That's when all my sins were coming. I've got to go to confession and say all this, after I had witnessed that. And then I did the usual. I climbed both mountains. It's beautiful, really, really beautiful up there. So the Stations of the Cross, the Rosary. When I went to church and I was receiving Holy Communion, a voice came into my head, and it said, "Receive it on your tongue. Your hands are unclean."
As it used to be before they made the changes.
Yeah, but that was a voice in my head to tell me that that's how I should receive it.
Right. Were they giving people the choice of hands or just directly onto the tongue?
Whichever way they wanted it.
Yeah.
Communion should always be received on the tongue,
Well, that's the way we all started way back when, and then it was like to speed up the process and all that. So,
and kind of time kind of flew, and then it was time to go back. So drive back, I realized now, okay, the rosary, it would have been the answer to my problems way back then if I had listened. The rosary is the best weapon against all of that,
As Mary has said many times. Well, those 5, did you hear about the 5 stones when you were over there?
Yeah.
And it's rosary, fasting, Bible, confession, and the Mass. Yeah.
So I came home and I put crosses in every room. And I would have said the consecration prayer as well, to consecrate the house to Mary and Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're consecrating to Jesus through Mary. It's kind of the way that works. Yeah. Because Mary takes us to Jesus. Jesus came to us through Mary. It's kind of that, yeah. Well.
So that was the end of stuff happening in the house. I was praying, I started, as soon as I get back from Medjugorje, I started praying with the kids. But then the visions still kind of went on. They were like threatening, but I've always found that if you pray, Jesus help me, Jesus protect me, Jesus show me the way, and keep saying that, and then the Our Father, it just stops then.
Well, and you're a great reminder again that the forces of good and evil, that it's not. This is all real stuff, isn't it? But the fact that Mary came to you at that one point to let you know you're going to need these, and ultimately that was the answer. It was prayer. It was rosary.
Yeah.
And she gave you, obviously you had the example on the road of showing you again a sign that this is powerful. This removes much of the evil. This is your greatest spiritual weapon, as she said umpteen times.
The rosary is the weapon to deal with all this and stuff that's going on with the demonic side. The rosary can help with all that, and consecrating everything that belongs to you, your children, everything to the Sacred Heart.
You pray your rosary every day now?
Oh yeah, and the kids they're fully aware of who God is, who Jesus is, who Mary is, the whole lot, and they can all say the prayers for the rosary.
Right, and it's a Bible in your pocket. It's the birth, the life, the passion, death, resurrection, ascension into heaven. It's all there. It's all the life of Jesus there. Yeah. What do you want? What else do you want to say? What else do you want to?
Definitely to keep away from all the New Age stuff and past life regression. There's a lot of people training to do it, and you're basically you're allowing demons into your body when they're calling on the subconscious. You're allowing a demon in to answer questions. These are demons that are answering. As I said, it's dial a demon network. What I call it. This.
And they can insert into your mind all kinds of past lives and experiences, and you can even back it up if you look it up in history. Oh, there was somebody that. Well, they know that. They know, and they can convince you. Yeah.
How do you warn them that please don't do this thing, all this New Age crap? So yeah, no, it's definitely since May this year. Like a lot of other stuff happened at the start of this year, different visions and stuff like that. As I said, I had one about the Pope as well in January.
What was that?
I'm there in the Vatican, and all these popes and there's two popes, and the cardinals have their red hat on, and one pope is pushed out the window, and I said, "Oh my goodness!" And because most of the other stuff is an attack on me, but I'm now looking at the Pope, and I started saying, if this is not from divine origin, please stop. I said it 3 times, and then another vision came after that with demons, and it's like they're like celebrating and having a festival because one of the popes had been pushed out the window, and this was a couple of days before Cardinal Sarah and Pope Benedict released their book,
When you try to place this into the world today, what do you come up with?
Well, there's the Fatima message, and also the message in Akita, where it's bishops against bishops and cardinals against cardinals, and that should really, like, if I get all these attacks like this, and I'm a Catholic, imagine how much the Pope would get. He's under a lot of scrutiny with the media, and there's so much, this fake media, as Trump called it, fake media putting out stories that are not fully true,
And you're seeing the clergy against each other right now. You're seeing it all over the place.
Yeah. And then the last one, which I had, was in May. And since then, it's just minor dreams and stuff. But on the 21st of May, which is the Ascension, I'm lying in bed, and then I'm saying the rosary, and I go to sleep with giant beads around my neck to protect me. So I'm holding onto the cross, and I feel paralyzed and being pushed down on the bed, and then all of a sudden, my body is lifting up, and I'm shouting out, "Mario Bergoglio!" I'm saying, "Well, who is that?" Yeah, I looked it back. It's just the Pope. So I tell you, the devil is gunning for him.
You were why?
I started praying for the Pope then.
Started praying for the Pope, yeah.
And I started to up the amount of prayers that I'm praying. And even I would ask the kids to pray for the Pope and different people when we're saying the rosary. I say, this is for, and this is for. And just had to up it,
Do you feel like were you feeling the attack on the Pope? What do you think you were feeling as you were calling out his name?
I said he needs a lot of prayers, and I think a lot of the stuff that he's doing is wrong, and I used to complain about him. I feel bad that the Pope is not standing up. The fact that all the Irish churches are closed, people are not allowed to go to Mass. Like, first time in Ireland since like the 1800s where people are not allowed to go to Mass, and priests can be prosecuted for holding Mass.
The other thing, as far as what your experience was, when you saw a Pope going out the window and one staying and all that good stuff, do you make any correlation in that between Pope Benedict being basically pushed out or resigning, whatever, and Pope Francis still remaining?
No, I can't say which Pope it was. There might be another one that'll come along
and I have my own thoughts on things going on in the world right now and what the Pope is doing and what he's not doing. There are a lot of interesting things going on. When we see Pope Francis reaching out to the Chinese Communist Catholic, what I mean? When you see him doing that, you kind of go, huh. When you see him congratulating the most pro-abortion presidential candidate, elect, whatever, ever, blessing him and congratulating him, you go, huh. You just kind of go, okay, where's this going, guys? Where's this going?
You have the whole Pachamama thing.
That's another thing people are looking at Pope Francis about, these pagan goddesses or whatever, and it's like, what is that about? What is he doing? And again,
there's a coin now with the Pachamama on it that you can get in the Vatican.
Right, there's a coin that was issued. Get this, on October 13th, the anniversary of Fatima and all that. So you have a lot of people kind of looking at the Pope right now. Now, people should understand the Pope can't change church law. He can't change. He is a protector of the deposit of faith. He cannot change church law. Number two is that people say, well, what's all this nonsense about his infallibility? That is I think that's only been used like twice, and it had to do with Mary. The Immaculate Conception and the Assumption of Mary into heaven are about that, and naming saints is about the only thing in which the Pope is using the infallibility of that position. You can only use that at certain times. And so just the Pope doing things, saying things, it's not to say that he's infallible. And also, he cannot change church law. So when he does little things that make people kind of raise an eyebrow, everyone's very, very cautious about what is he doing? Is he trying to change church law? Because he can't. He can issue encyclicals for deeper insight into things, but he cannot change the basic law that is within the church. And if he tries, he can't. There's a story of one pope who was going to change something. He was just going to come out and say, hey, I know we believe this. Well, no, it's that. He died. He died before he could issue the decree. It's like God kind of takes this stuff pretty seriously. Yeah. So bottom line as we go through this, and we're just kind of hitting the tennis ball back and forth here of the things we're watching and kind of wondering about, and everybody is.
I suppose that is, in a way, a cleansing. Jesus will cleanse the church. In order for that to be done, the evil has to be visible, to everybody.
So just to kind of hear the conversation of within the church, outside the church, how media views what the church is doing and the political state of America. There's a media view, and then there's the view through the church, and they are completely different views. Yeah,
I'm praying for Trump as well,
Why? Tell me why.
Well, he's pro-life. He's he had started on this whole Planned Parenthood stuff, and trying to get rid of abortion. And I think 1920 was the first time, wasn't it, that Russia carried out the first abortion?
They created a law that encouraged women to have abortions 100 years ago. Yeah, we just had this. October was the 100th anniversary.
That's another thing, that this whole experience did for me, was to wake me up to the world and what's going on. I wasn't really kind of paying attention to what's happening in the world, and to see evil versus good. Everything is black and white in a way. Good versus bad. Where, this election in America not only affects America, but the whole world. The whole world.
So many of us were praying. In my case, I was doing the 54-day novena rosary. Which one were you doing? Were you praying about the election over there in Germany?
I'm not following a novena, but I will pray decades of the rosary every day with the kids. Told my children, that one person praying the rosary is strong, but two or three or even more is more powerful.
Well, I'm trying to think of all the millions of rosaries that were prayed to Mary for a fair and safe election. So if it was fair and safe, then the results will stay. I fully believe that if they were not fair, then Mary will answer that and give us and will reveal what wasn't fair, and then we accept whatever those results are. So I think she'll make it very clear to all of us, I think. And you are a reminder to me of how close and how small the world is today. You are very up to speed on what's going on in this country and what's going on in the world and what's going on in the church.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Well, this has been fascinating and wonderful.
You too.
All right.
It was fun.
Yes, it was.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, Caitriona. Now wearing the armor of light, putting on that armor that is available to all of us. Let's cast off the works of darkness. There are things in our homes. We used to have them here. Things in our homes that just are not connected to Christianity, that are connected to maybe it's New Age, maybe it's paganism. She got rid of books. She got rid of all kinds of stuff. Let's put on the armor of light. The 5 stones mentioned by Mary in her appearances in Medjugorje. 5 stones, rosary, fasting, Bible, confession. Everyone can do an examination of conscience. Mass and Eucharist, going to services on Sunday. Whatever it is to you, there are those 5 stones. I go into further detail on that on the Men's Morning Light video series, if you're interested. In an episode I just did, it's the 12th episode we did, and it's called "You Are Dangerous," and it talks about, and it's about this armor. You're either dangerous to Satan and the impact you have in this world against him, or you are in danger, go to Men's Morning Light, either on Facebook or YouTube, and just watch that episode called You Are Dangerous. And I don't think it was coincidence that Caitriona contacted me this week and had these thoughts about the American election and these dreams that she'd been having. I had something happen that I had not experienced before. I was just lying in bed, and I had this image. It was kind of an outline image of a firefighter climbing a house on a ladder, and there's a fire going on, and he's putting out a fire. And I thought, wow, I was kind of thought, wow, is that a warning? Something about my home, you know? So I went downstairs, and hours later, when I got up in the morning, I was looking for something on YouTube, and something totally unrelated in my search came up on YouTube. I can't, I'm legally blind, so I can't see the video, but I'm hearing this voice on the video that popped up in this search I had done, which didn't make any sense. And then I'm going, I know that voice. What's that voice? What's that voice? And then it dawns on me, the voice is, I hadn't heard this voice in probably 4 years. The voice of a former firefighter in Orlando, Florida. His name is Mark Taylor. And he made some news 4 years ago by prophesying, if you will, that Trump was going to win the presidency. Only his prophecy came 5 years before that in 2011. In 2011, he's sitting there in his home watching the news. Trump comes up, says something, but what he hears in this voice in his head, whatever you want to call it, is that's the voice of the president. What he believes is the Holy Spirit saying to him, that is the one I want in charge of America in this season, at this time in history, and goes on to say what's going to happen during a Trump administration, how he'll appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, which he then later amends actually to 5, in large part to reverse Roe v. Wade. Let me just play for you the most recent Mark Taylor prophecy. This is what I heard on that morning after having this vision of a firefighter and then watching a YouTube video of this former firefighter.
It's called Dethroning Evil. The Spirit of God says that the election. Did I not say that my anointed Donald J. Trump would be my president? Did I not say that I remove kings and raise up kings? I have raised up my anointed Donald Trump for such a time as this. Why is there panic? Why is there so much fear in my people? Do you not trust my plan? This election has already been won in the spirit, and it now has to manifest in the natural. The Spirit of God says, O ye of little faith, do you not realize how big I am? Do you not realize how small your enemy is? Judges, congressmen and women, governors, mayors, anyone in leadership that is corrupt will be exposed one after the other and brought down to nothing. The Spirit of God says, do not think that the church is immune from this judgment. For one leader after the other will be exposed for leading my sheep astray. Woe to you leaders that call yourself mine, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. Woe to you leaders that come in my name, but work for the kingdom of darkness. So this is going to get real interesting. This is going to get real interesting, not only in the political realm, because I've said for years, God was showing me that the political realm and the religious realm were paralleling one another. What you see happening in the political realm is happening in the religious realm.
Interesting. I'm just following breadcrumbs and seeing where it goes, if it goes anywhere. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. What's your story that you would like to share? Get a hold of me at touchedbyheaven.net. While you're there, you can also click the Stay Informed link. There are other things going on in the Touched by Heaven universe, and we have a weekly email we'd like to send to you. Other stories that are bubbling up around the world. Also, while there's also a link in through Patreon. Oh, my shout out. My shout out goes to Linda Milberg. Thank you so much for helping us out on a monthly basis through patreon.com. You go to patreon.com directly and search for Trapper Jack or episode 136. We have a link right there. So, see you next week here on Touched by Heaven. Everyday encounters with God. I'm Trapper Jack.